Can we start?
Shall we just start?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, welcome everyone. Don't be shy, those sitting at the back, come forward because we're a small group today, but we're really glad you're here because it shows that you're interested in learning more about careers and committed to your job search, which is a good start. One of the things we always say is always to start early. The fact that you're starting in week 2 is a really good sign, so we really appreciate that. So we're going to do a quick intro to ourselves because I've met some of you guys, the MIMs, but I've not had the pleasure to meet the MBAs yet. So I think that's happening tomorrow. So I'll start with me. I'm Mandy. I lead the careers team here at Hult and Hult Dubai, and I co-host the podcast with Bianca. A bit of my experience is I started my career in the recruitment industry back in London over 10 years now. And I worked across multiple industries. And then I decided in 2019 to see if I could switch from working in talent acquisition into coaching because I was implementing a lot of early career strategies. So it's basically this experience that I draw on to coach the students. And then I started my career at Hult in London. I have pretty much coached most of the programs here at Hult, and then came to Dubai in 2021. So it's a little bit of my background, and then I've been leading the team here ever since. So it's a little bit about me, and you'll get to know a little bit more of my experience as we connect throughout the year, as I draw on a lot of it to help with the coaching. So over to you.
Amazing, thank you. Hi, everybody. We've met a little bit before, but again, another introduction. I think you've had a lot of information coming at you over the last week. So I'm Bianca, and I manage the employer relations side, which essentially means I speak to the companies that are coming to campus. I also speak to the alumni that are coming here to tell you their stories. And when summer approaches and you're close to graduation, I bring in a lot of those internships and job opportunities that you see advertised on our platforms. So I've been with Hult for 6 years. I started off in London. I was there for 4 years, and then I moved to Dubai 2 years ago. So this is my 3rd cycle. And apart from that, my career is across 12 years. That's how long it's been since I graduated. And I started off in recruitment, and then I worked in a boutique consulting firm helping large brands to engage with students on campus in schools, colleges, universities. So things, companies like Coca-Cola, Rolls-Royce, Accenture, some of the large consulting firms. And then I started working at Hult, and then I took a little break and I went into startup funding for a couple of years. And after that, I came to Dubai. So my experience is across recruitment, bit of consulting, and especially that attraction piece, startup funding and growth, and mainly employer relations and corporate relations, so global partnerships. And the podcast, we started it 2 years ago. And it was actually something that we started soon after I moved here. Mandy and I used to work together in London at Hult. And when I got here, I just kept hearing that this market is very different from the West or from Europe in general. So I just really wanted to understand very quickly how and why. And so I wanted to find a podcast that would explain that to me. And I was looking for a lot of different resources, but I couldn't find something that was career focused, business focused, and also something that would provide advice to students or early stage talent is what we call you guys in the recruitment world. So the people that are either finishing university or finishing their education cycle for the first time. So you've done a bachelor's and a master's and you're ready to start your first job, or the people who have done a couple of years of work, have had a business, and now are coming back to specialize in international management or do an MBA. And so for those people who are either starting out or pivoting, there wasn't much advice. And so I said, we speak to a lot of amazing people all the time. We do a lot of career events, but the information comes and goes, and it kind of leaves the room. Once the event is done, whatever was said there is just gone. So why don't we record something in a format that is accessible to people everywhere? So we said, okay, podcasts are growing, and we think that giving our students the chance to watch our conversations on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, whatever it is handy and available, would actually make a difference. So then this is how we started 2 years ago, and we've gone on a journey of learning a lot about sound and image and production and editing. And since then, we've released 18 episodes. We've recorded 20 or 21. So
Yep.
there are a few in the pipeline that are coming. And we've covered a lot of different areas, and we're making all of that available to you guys, but also it's publicly available to anyone who wants to learn about the UAE market, Dubai in particular, how to successfully use the resources and the momentum of this country to advance their careers.
Cool. You recapped that really good. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the format. So it's going to be a 1-hour chat. We would like you to submit your questions via the YouTube. So just go to For Those Made to Do podcast on YouTube, and in the comment section, you can leave your questions, and we're going to do our best to answer them all. So this is a really great opportunity, because I know since you guys have started, people have like, we need to talk to careers. We've got some really big questions we want to ask. And I think for general market questions, we're going to answer those for you today, as we've been kind of immersed in the job market for the last 4 to 5 years. Okay, so that's the formatting. And then we're going to start off by just saying which episodes are our favorite, because like Bianca said, a lot of the purpose of the podcast was to help you do some of this market research for you. And the thinking at the beginning for our earlier episodes where we were going to tackle industries that we thought were thriving in this market. So you'll see logistics, you'll see as well. So these are industries that we thought we see are thriving and growing. So you'll see the pattern in the episodes. So we thought we'd start off by giving you a starting point as the ones we enjoyed the most. So I'll do mine first. So for me, I really loved the sustainability episode with an alumna called Michelle Lee. And she's super cool. She studied on the Boston campus, and she has her own carbon credits company. And she also is a driving force in a Women in Climate community, which is a global community, and she drives that. We met her at COP28 as well while she was here. So that's when we recorded the podcast at that time. And it's just super interesting. She really breaks it down as well on how you can think about sustainability on a granular level as like one person making a footprint, and I really enjoyed that because it's something that I'm passionate about. The next one is with a lady called Pooja Vitlani, and she did a whole episode on product, and she's super cool. I think probably one of the coolest people I've met, and she had worked on big major products in the US, so Expedia, and then she came here and was working for Kareem, so she was doing a lot of product management on one of the country's first super apps, which is super cool. And so she unpacked product for us, and I really enjoyed that episode because my background, actually, I worked in digital for a long time on digital products, so I could connect with what she was saying, and it was just something that I was interested in. And then the third one is with a superstar force in the fashion industry, Leda Damati, and she basically has her own luxury fashion consulting company, and I love fashion.
She goes to Fashion Week all the time.
She goes to
right
Fashion
now she's
Week.
in Paris.
She used to work at Marc Jacobs in New York,
Yeah.
Italian origin, and her story is just actually really incredible. So it was really great to hear from her, and she's one of our partners, and we're happy to say she's one of our friends as well. So these are my 3 favorites. You want to talk about yours?
Yes, yeah. So I'll go chronologically. So this is episode 2 with Guy Thurman, and it's available. You guys can listen later. But I think the reason why it's my favorite is it's a very, very good introduction to the country, and especially to something that you get to hear a little bit less in other parts of the world, which is the symbiosis between business education and the government. The government here in the UAE and in general in the GCC is very, very involved, and it's a different type of relationship versus a traditional kind of democratic country where perhaps most of you or most of us come from. And it's just so refreshing to see how involved the government is and how it leads with a vision and how it kind of acts on their vision. So where they say that they want to build infrastructure or opportunity, they follow through, and they immediately deploy some funds and they start growing that area. And Guy works for the Dubai Future Foundation, which is part of the government. We usually work with them and with him. So he comes here as a professor. At times, so you might actually have classes with him, but even if you don't, you should listen to this conversation because he is incredibly knowledgeable and he'll break that down for you. And it will also talk about the future of this country. Although we recorded the episode last year, it's very, actually, when you look at the progress we've made in the direction he's pointed out, in reality is actually really inspiring. So that's the first one. My second one is episode 5. It's on strategy consulting with Dr. Yassar Jarrar. He is again a powerhouse in the consulting world. He also teaches at Hult. Usually in summer, you'll do an elective if you're interested in international consulting. He works a lot with governments, and he is on the board of or one of the advisory boards of the World Economic Forum. So he's in those circles. He gets all that information, and then he comes and disseminates it in the Middle East. And he talks about how you can advise clients when you don't have a clear roadmap into the future. Because if you're looking at consulting as a potential career, there will be times when you're, especially now when there's so much disruption, there will be times when your clients will come to you and will ask you for your guidance and your strategic insight on where they need to go next. But when there's so much ambiguity in this VUCA world, uh, what do you rely on? What techniques do you use to actually provide advice? And he talks about that. And my third favorite is, I think it's episode 9 or 10, and it's with Harry Hurst, who is a senior director, I think, at Accenture Middle East. And he's, or actually, no, he's the lead in Gen AI, in generative AI, and he's worked with a lot of clients in this region to help them, first of all, digitalize, and second of all, to use that data to then power it up through AI, and essentially become more and more competitive. And he talks about democratizing data ownership. There are a lot of sub themes, and again, this is an episode from last year. We're talking a bit about the power of AI and how it can be used day to day in business. So as you can see, so fashion, sustainability, strategy, government, AI, we've really focused our podcast on all the areas that we teach at Hult, and also the areas that our students are typically the most interested in terms of pursuing a career there. And we're not speaking to junior people intentionally. We want people with vision who have been in their industries for 10, 15, 20 years, who have seen the transformation of their industry and can now come and talk very confidently about this is what's been happening. We're at this point where so much is changing so fast, and this is where I think we're going in the future. And that's why you'll see 2 episodes for each theme. You'll get the main episode and you'll get the bonus. And the bonus is a short form type of content. It's 10, 15 minutes where we're asking the guest what we call the wildcard question. And that's usually something about the future. We're asking them to make a prediction. Where do you think your industry is going to go? What are the top 3 skills in the next 5 years? How can you consult when there's so much ambiguity, etc.? And then they offer these wild answers. So we thought it would actually be good to get these 3 timelines in check.
Okay, all right. So there are questions. So shall we get into them? Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is from Arjun, and he is asking about the details of the MBA job recruitment slash placement that Hult potentially does, and if you have any statistics or experience.
Yeah. So you would have seen in the rankings that every year we are rising for our MBA placement rankings, which is really, really cool. So you'll see that in Bloomberg, and you'll see that in the Financial Times as well. So in particular to this region and this campus. So historically, since I arrived, so I arrived in 2021, and that was obviously was COVID times as well. This country was still following COVID rules way beyond when the rest of countries had stopped. And up until that point, it was a very transient place. People were coming and they were going. So in terms of people staying to work in this region, the percentage was really low, if I'm honest with you. We're talking 6-7% of people coming to study in Dubai in the full-time programs and staying. Now we're at 30%. So you can see over the course of the 4 years that the appetite to stay in the region, it's changed completely. I would say radically changed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened because of things that the government have put in place. Because what happened to this country in COVID, there was a mass exodus of people and they wanted to rebuild. And not only rebuild, they wanted the expats to stay in the country and also retain their money here as well. Not to take how the Middle East has a bit of an opportunity here, KSA as well. Ourselves as well as a team and you guys, because there is more opportunity here now than there was before. So I hope that answers that question. I think it did.
Great, good. And then we have one from the top one,
Sorry, it's my.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so sectors that are growing the fastest in the UAE, specifically Dubai, for international students. And I think this question is coming from the immunization process that we have here in Dubai. So,
Yeah.
Whew, yeah. Uh,
I'll,
it's a big question.
Yeah.
I would start
Yeah.
by separating sector from function, because I think, and then I can give you my impression, then Mandy can give hers.
Yeah.
Because if I'm totally honest, so much is growing. It's really hard to pin it down to maybe two or three, but I'll try. I would say the fastest growing sector right now in the UAE is related to artificial intelligence, no doubt. It's everywhere on every agenda. All companies are going through the transformation. All companies are talking about it. That's something that all Hult students need to be really aware of and really proficient at. Now, as a sector, it's growing massively. Then we'll talk a bit about the functions later. So the actual work you're doing within that sector. Number two for me, finance is growing massively for a number of reasons. I think primarily because a lot of people are moving to Dubai. There's a huge influx of very affluent people coming from all over the world. There's a big highway now between the UK and the UAE because of the political state of the country there. Many people have decided to move their residence to the UAE. A lot of these people are very wealthy, and so there will continue to be a growth of opportunities in people that understand finance from a perspective of wealth management, investment banking, private equity, venture capital. A lot of the the areas that London used to be very well known for, because we come from there. Some of that, or if not a lot of that focus, is now coming here. And I would say the third fastest growing sector is related to sustainability. It's a bit vague, but I would say anything primarily energy focused. So oil and gas and now is now shifting towards green energy. Automotive is now shifting towards electric vehicles. That's supported by the government, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. When the government says we're going to do this, they actually go and do it. And then you see the reverb across 5 years through all of these industries. So to recap, AI number one, finance number two, sustainability of all kinds, but primarily energy. But also sustainability consulting is becoming really big as well. A lot of companies are looking to grow their arms in consulting there, and also there are a lot of new boutique consulting firms that do AI consulting and sustainability consulting. Sustainability consulting is primarily around regulations tracking. So all companies now need to declare their footprint and how they allocate their resources. Within that space, the functions that I see growing the most, I'll give you two, then I'll let Mandy say a few words as well. I think there's a huge focus on, again, AI, which is very broad, but I think prompting and also beyond that, working with large data sets. So data analytics with that AI element is getting huge, because there's so much data being created, and so many companies still need to go through that digital transformation. And first, they need to get their data cleaned and in check and unified, so that they can put it into AI, and AI can make sense of it and can produce something of value to the business. So anyone interested in data and analytics, huge opportunity arising now. Everyone needs to know AI, at least at a basic level, knowing how to automate, knowing how to create AI agents that can speed your workflow. And number three, in terms of functions, marketing broadly, but I'll say digital and even outdoor advertising is now making a comeback, because there's just so much digital content out there that's being put out through AI, that's making text and video and everything, that a lot people that I've spoken to have said, you know what, a lot of brands are actually looking to go back to in-person activations, events, community, and outdoor
and not
advertising.
to do a shameless plug, but you can listen to the omni-channel episode, and that's fully reinforced. And our guest in that episode is working for a large conglomerate, Altair Group, and I don't know if you've seen the brand Unas yet, but he's specifically working on that brand.
Think of Farfetch. Unas is Farfetch for the Middle East, like luxury
and
fashion. It's a platform.
Really tells that story and that context of what Bianca's just mentioned. For me, I'm going to talk about the unsexy industries, because Bianca talked about AI and digital transformation. So I don't know if you've ever heard that comment of boring is best. Now, if you actually are really looking to find a good job in this region, you want to look at industries that people are actively using. So education, healthcare, logistics. This region is a logistical hub. And they have named themselves as the logistical hub for the region. So all North countries, the wider GCC, Middle Eastern countries are using Dubai as the hub. So that's not just it's all types of logistics, maritime, air, across all the different aspects of logistics and supply chain. And once you start doing research and dig a little bit deeper into this, you'll see the scope of opportunity here, because you've heard about Maktoum Airport. That means the existing airport is going to be used for logistics only, and they're shifting. So this one will be about travel in between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and the one that's downtown and on the other side of the city will be fully for logistics. Then you've got the shipping industry as well. All the large shipping companies have a base here. Also, you have Jebel Ali down the road, which is a massive JAFSA free zone where a lot of the logistics takes place. So in terms of the sheer size of this industry, I would almost say it's like one of the biggest and most robust in the region. And because it's such a sexy industry, not many people have the right skills for it. Now, if you have any reference to supply chain, procurement, logistics in your experience, you will find a job in this region, I can guarantee it. So this is one of the ones that I would say is the most established. Healthcare is another big one. And then education is another. And it's, again, those things that people are using. And not the most exciting, but the ones that do exist and are real. So this is just something to keep in mind. And just to circle back to something Bianca said, it's quite easy. It's hard to find information here. You have to dig deep a little bit. But actually, if you look at Dubai's 2030 report, everything they say, and I think having observed over the last 4 to 5 years, everything they say they're going to do, they're going to do. So if you are looking for future opportunity, you can find it in that report if you really read it from the front to back. And I would suggest for you guys to do that as well, because you can speak to that when you speak to any employer in the region. You're going to sound knowledgeable, and also you can give foresight and you can be a future thinker, which I think is super critical. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I think the next question goes really well into what we're talking about, Mandy, from Victoria, with the logistics aspect of it. They asked, within the UAE
Yeah. So over the transformation in this country over the last 5 years has been enormous. So Bianca talked about finance earlier. When I arrived, all banking had to be done in person, in branch. That's changed, completely changed. And that's in such a short space of time when you really, really think about it. So in regards to import and export, same things apply. People were using things like shop and ship in from their home countries to kind of bring supplies that they were missing as expats. But now things are actually readily available and a lot more accessible than they used to be. And I still think there's a lot of scope in import and export. I think we've barely touched the surface on what's actually available. And there's a few companies that are kind of monopolizing on it at the moment, but I still think there's a lot of space here, especially trade as well, raw materials, that kind of thing, just sheerly due to the vision and the construction and the things that are going on around and the ambition. So actually there's a lot of opportunity here, not just from a consumer B2C buy and sell, but also from a B2B aspect as well. So it's just something to look into. Yeah, I hope that answers. Does it answer? Yeah, good.
Okay. If there are follow-ups,
yeah,
feel free
to find us.
it's a small group. We can.
Yeah.
The next one is from Aditya, and I think what they're asking is, when you want to pivot your industry, what is the process and approach that you guys will implement, and how frequently can they expect specific sessions on how to go about doing it?
Oh, okay. This is a good question. I'm going to take this one.
You take it.
Okay, so this is, well, you start with a tailored response because the thing about Hult is it's business school, right? And we have people from all over the world, all with different career objectives, all from different walks of life, all wanting to achieve different things. So it's not a one size fits all. We do have a methodology. We call it our secret sauce. We do believe it works. And it's not just a Dubai thing, a Dubai campus thing. It's a global thing. We have this system and we've seen it work time and time again across all our programs. The thing is, you are in the driving seat of this story. And we are your facilitators, your enablers. We're going to provide you with opportunity. The fact that you're in this room today shows that you're ready to drive. And I think you can, if you partake in every opportunity that we bring to you as a team, because there'll be opportunity to learn through panels, through guest speakers, there'll be opportunity for you to meet and connect. The more information you gather, the more ready you will be to make that switch. And for me, the most critical part in this strategy, in the secret sauce, is actually research. The more research you can do, the more people you speak to, the more of a better picture you can get on what's realistic when you make that switch towards something you've never done before, the better armed you will be to speak intelligently and convince someone that you can do the job. And that's the thing about transitioning, because you've not done it before. You might be able to do it. You know you can do it. You've done the skills, you've practiced. But if you haven't got it down on paper, you need to get someone to believe that you can do it. And that's all about the sessions that we're going to deliver on storytelling. We're going to do things on deep research, on how you can go about getting that information to speak intelligently on. We're going to give you opportunities to practice this storytelling. We're going to teach you how to frame your value propositioning. We're going to fix your LinkedIn's for you. We'll fix your CVs for you and make sure that whatever you're presenting outwards is a convincing marketing tool, an argument to whoever you want reading your profile and your CV. And if you do it correctly, it will work and it will land. And the only issue with this market is, and not to kind of go down a negative, because I don't necessarily think it's a negative, but this city, I always say, was built with experts. So people from other countries who were the expert in their field were invited to come here to build things, to shape things, to deliver things. So there is still an expectation of, I need an expert in my team. And if you haven't done something before, you're not kind of considered a like for like expert. It's not to say that you can't do it, but it just requires a little bit more effort and a little bit more convincing. And we can pick this up individually based on what your experiences are and how we can market yourselves. And I think this is where the business program becomes really interesting, because you're going to learn about sales strategy. You're going to learn about marketing. You're going to learn about all these components of things that actually go into the career strategy as well. You need to kind of pull a little bit from each course, and it then goes into your career strategy. So as you go along, I'm expecting you to evolve as well at a certain point, because it is those skills that we need to like demonstrate and show. And a large part of transitioning into something you haven't done before is really being one of those for those made to do, right? You need to show that you can do it and that you're a doer. So we'll work on that individually, and we'll work on that in class. And then the more we see you out and about participating in things, the more you're building your skill set. And to be honest, it all comes together, and then you'll definitely land something.
Okay, the next question is from Cici, and she how the cultural and economic climate here has made it easier or harder for women to start from scratch or scale. I'm going to ask for clarification here. Do you mean when you're starting your own business or if you're just starting a career? I feel like as women in general, you need to sort of have that drive, sort of like the root is
Prove yourself.
you have to put yourself
Yeah.
Yeah.
so how does the region
Yeah.
This is a tough question. I have a take, and then I think you'll have a take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you, and I'm really glad you asked this question actually, because as women in this region, it's interesting. I think being a woman in business is hard no matter where you are, to be honest. I've spent a long time working in London. London's one of the busiest, thriving cities alongside New York, I would say, and some others. And it is cutthroat and ruthless. And this market is also cutthroat and ruthless. I would be lying to you if it wasn't. It's one of the most fastest paced environments I've ever worked in. And every single person I know, no matter which country they're from, also say it's the hardest they've ever worked. So take that for what you will. And I think this is one of the true realities. I would also say it's the hardest I've ever worked in my life here at Hult Dubai. And I think it's just because everyone around you is hustling so hard. Hustle culture, no matter where you're from, what your background is, what your origin is, everyone's doing it, and it kind of motivates you and pushes you to do the same. And I think that's why the country just is kind of exploding as fast as it is, because everyone has this mindset. And then to the question itself, I'd be lying to you if I said that there aren't challenges, especially in those cutthroat industries like a consulting, like banking and finance, corporate finance, engineering also, where it is quite male-dominated environments. And I think this is where this course, the leadership courses, are going to do you a solid and service you really well, because you'll be able to navigate those difficulties and those challenges, and you'll be able to apply it as well. I also have the privilege to coach the EMBAs as well, and they're studying and working at the same time. And a lot of them say that as soon as they do a leadership course, they get to apply it in real time, and they're able to navigate difficult conversations with their teams a lot better. They're able to kind of just change their leadership style in slight ways to make sure that they're getting more results. And it's these types of things that you probably have to actively do from like day one, and maybe just be a little bit more aware of. And I also think it's the environment. I think people discount choosing a place to work that aligns with your values. For me, I think it's one of my biggest top priorities. I think when I'm looking for a job, obviously the opportunity, the job itself has to be great, but also, do I like the team? And are they aligned with my values? And if these two things are there, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to thrive. If there's red flags on either of these two things, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have difficulty being a loud voice in a corporate environment, which I am. So I think really, really tuning in to what is this person I'm reporting into, what's their management style? What does this company value? Are they have they just received funding? Are they scaling up really fast? Do they want me to work 7 days a week? Do they want me to work till 8 p.m. every night? If that's the case, I don't know if that's going to be a safe environment. So I think it's it's a bit of a loaded question. It's a bit of I think I've rambled a little bit on it, but there's different components to it. But I think values, choosing somewhere to work that aligns with your values will ease this challenge, I think, in summary. What do you?
Yeah, I agree. And I will add that there are a lot of initiatives out there from government and from private to get more women in through the door at the early stage. and also in leadership roles. I think the government's very proactively been placing women based on meritocracy in leadership positions over the last few years. So now you see more of that. But also we have two partners that exist primarily for that, to advance women's access into certain jobs and industries. So Mandy mentioned one of them, Women in Climate. So this is a forum of women that either have their own businesses or they work in corporate, and they're related to sustainability of some sort. And essentially they're part of this global network of women, which was started by Michelle, who was on our podcast on sustainability. And what they do is they meet, they have chapters in, I think, 20 different cities in the world. They meet and they exchange ideas, contact, open doors for each other, support each other, learn from each other. The other one is called the Nora platform, Nora community, and it's led by a company called Aurora 50, so that's behind it. So Nora was actually founded and it's founded and funded by six of the largest companies in here. One of them you'll probably recognize, Accenture. It's a huge consulting firm. Another one is EGA, the Global Aluminium. These are more local companies. And then there are a few others, but all of them, their revenues are in the range of hundreds of millions and billions. So these companies came together and created this support for a network of 50 women. So they're sending their female leaders, their managers and managers of managers, through this 1-year program where they support each other as a cohort, and they also get immersed into all sorts of learning opportunities. And we've hosted a couple of those sessions. One of our professors did a session on leadership. Namrata, our dean, also did a session. So we're working closely with them. We have access to their network. And also, I've just been last week to the graduation of this female cohort, and these women were talking about the impact that this network has had on them for the last year. So back to what Mandy said, it's not a perfect world, and there's a lot of work to be done to achieve that gender equality, especially given the historical background of this region. But what I would say is that both the UAE and now Saudi, they are plunging really far ahead to close that gap as much as they can, and that's coming both from government and private. They're putting money into it, so it's moving the needle. And we'll talk about this later, but actually Nora want to pay it forward, and they want their women to now start mentoring younger women. And so we might create an opportunity for you guys to be junior mentees of these women coming from these companies. This is fresh, I shouldn't be talking about it yet. It's just an idea at this point, but it's come through. So I guess the bigger picture is in this region, and we've got some alumni there, and they actually, one of them is going to come to campus on the 5th of November. Shameless plug, FYI, I've told you, be there. And so Plug and Play, they essentially fund a lot of early stage startups and scale ups in here, and they just published a report talking about the growth of quantum computing. I don't fully remember the numbers, but we're talking billions. We're talking, I think it's at 1.2 billion right now. It's going to go to somewhere around 7.5 billion between now and 2030. So quantum computing is an incredible opportunity, and it's going to grow so fast in this region. Now, if you're thinking about everything that's being built here with Stargate and all the AI infrastructure that is now coming here between the UAE and Saudi, the Mandy was talking about the unsexy industries. So the engineering that goes behind it, the data servers, basically the engine of AI is also being built here right now. And with that, there's a lot of focus on the energy that comes with it. And then where is that going to take us next? Quantum computing, because processing power is something that is going to be vastly needed. I think energy and processing power in the next 5 years will be two of the most important things, because everyone's using ChatGPT for everything every day. How are we going to, the more of us that are using it at the wider scale, the more energy and computing power will be needed. So 100%, these are two slightly engineering-y, techy, nerdy spaces, but huge growth, because they're essential. Like Mandy said, healthcare and education, they're just essentials. You can't work without them. And I think quantum computing is one of the next ones. Space economy, super interesting. We actually have I've been trying to push a podcast episode on the space economy, and we will do it soon. And we have a faculty who is a specialist in it. So he's a PhD and he teaches at a very high level. He's sitting on a few boards. He works for the World Economic Forum as well. Hugely intelligent guy as well. I think he usually does electives with us in summer. We're going to get him on to talk about it. But some of the early things that he's told me is that when you think about the space economy, a lot of us think about the commercial side of it, which is what we've seen. We've seen Bezos and Richard Branson and Katy Perry and a few other people just heading into the orbit for a little bit, and they're like, oh, space travel, so cool. But really, what the wider space, that's maybe 10% of it, because we just don't have the functionality right now, and it's way too expensive for the everyday person to shoot up there. But what's unseen and the biggest opportunity in business is the B2B side, which is in satellites. So he's talking about a lot of companies emerging now that are printing 3D satellites that allow any company, let's say Hult, for example, if we wanted to have our own internet satellite, we could essentially hire a company to do it. We program it with the right coordinates to go and orbit around us, and then it would just send signal to Hult, and maybe we could sell it to our neighbors as well. So that's alongside the energy space that is becoming more of a shortage in the future. I also think the space economy is going to be booming, but it's kind of in the underground because not a lot of people are seeing or understanding it right now. I don't think the job opportunities are there yet, but I think they're coming. So anyone with an engineering background, anyone coming from telecoms, satellite, internet, anything around that space that wants to pivot into space and connectivity for the world will be an absolute winner in the next few years as well. There's a lot that Europe is working on as well. So the regulation isn't there yet. So the opportunity is up for grabs for anyone with a good idea and a little bit of money to make it happen. So yeah, excellent question. Thank you, Arjun, for that. I had to get it. Oh, I'm sorry. Punit, I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry, my apologies.
Okay, good. And then the next two questions I think are like very closely linked. So the first one is, does learning Arabic actually provide you with a competitive advantage in this region? So
I'll take this one. If you're going to learn a new language, it's going to take you some time to master it and to speak it at a business level. Now, to learn basic Arabic, I think it would be charming. I think it would be received really well. Yeah, because everyone in this room is from a different country. And if someone came to you and learnt your local language, I'm pretty sure you'd be really happy to receive it. And I think the same rules go and apply here as well. I think if you can greet someone, exchange pleasantries in Arabic, it would be received really well. And I think also there would be a sense of pride and a sense of, okay, I want to do business with these people. This person is interested in my culture, interested in my language. And it would really credit towards your wasta, which is what is one of the kind of main fundamental principles of doing business in this region. It's about building relationships, building credibility, and I think it really helps. So what I would say to you is, if you want to start building your foundational understanding of Arabic, you can do that. We offer Arabic classes here. It is an introduction to Arabic as well. So you maybe be able to kind of read a few words perhaps, do basic conversational. Would you be able to master it at a business level? I think it's going to take some time. If you feel passionate about it and you've got a grasp, you're good at languages and you're kind of grasping it, then 100% go for it, because I don't think it's going to hurt you. This region in the UAE, I think English is the predominant language. A lot of business is done, but I think if you look at the wider GCC and North Africa as well, then yeah, if you're looking to kind of expand your reach in your role, then perhaps then it would be a viable language to learn. It will help you and give you an added advantage. I know in some certain industries that are localized for the region, marketing specifically, actually, most often they do ask for Arabic speakers. But again, you would have to know it at a business/native level. So just something to kind of be aware of and mindful of. And the second question here is around, yes.
Talking about Saudi and essentially as the two countries become interconnected, will we see Saudi become more open and flexible over the upcoming years?
Yeah. I think I'm going to do it in a simple way.
Yeah.
Yes, they also have a vision.
Yeah.
They also, I mean, if you know any information about that shift, is that they want to move away from oil and gas, and to do that and stop relying on that, they need to open their doors and start building other industries. And to be honest, the market size is huge and the potential is huge. What we see a lot is anyone that's working in consulting, most of their projects are actually Saudi based, and they're having to like travel backwards and forwards. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and there's a lot of connectivity there as well. And they are opening their doors. We actually have a lot of Saudi students as well in the MBA cohort who travel in. And if you would like to learn more, speak to them, because it's a really interesting, fascinating journey that they're on as well, as things change in their country in real time at a fast pace, to learn more about it and for you to get a better understanding on how to kind of navigate that change. So kind of utilize the connections that you have in front of you and kind of build your knowledge. More people you speak to, the better picture you will get, rather than us speaking for it. I think 100% go to the source and have that experience firsthand, because it's really enlightening actually.
Last question, I think I'm
Yeah, go on.
do you guys foresee Riyadh overtaking the UAE in general as a hub for economic activity?
I think in the future, just purely based on its sheer size. When you look at the size of the UAE, it's very small. It's the size of London. When you think about it like that, it's not a like for like comparison, but the sheer size of KSA is huge. So just purely from that perspective, if they do level up and they scale up, it will happen. And it's purely based on the size of that economy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it depends on what metrics. I think size and volume, 100%, it's already bigger. So if you just compare the UAE to Saudi, but I think the other lens is that Saudi right now is still very much Saudi first. So there are a lot of businesses in there, but they usually hire Saudi residents primarily, and then then they get consultants who are coming in short term. So I think Dubai is different, and maybe Abu Dhabi as two Emirates are a bit different in the sense that right now Dubai is 87% or maybe close to 90% just the city, expats, people from all over the world, and 10% Emirati nationals. And if you go to other Emirates that are a bit more traditional, that changes drastically. But I would say Riyadh has seen the changes that have come to Dubai, and I'm thinking here more culturally, day-to-day life. And for now, at least, they're opting to keep the dominant culture as it is. I think it's changing a little bit, but I don't think it's changing at the same pace as Dubai. So again, taking out that business opportunity, I think business opportunity right now is 100% better in Saudi. From what we hear, the salaries are higher than Dubai. The projects are more interesting because it's almost like Dubai 20, 30 years ago, and they were kind of building. At the same time, people that are used to a certain life standard they will have to mold a lot more into the Saudi culture, because everyday life is a little bit different. And back to Cece's question, I think for women, it's a different world out there. And we do hear that a lot. We don't hear it so much from the women here in the UAE. And Holt has a lot of women employees, and my job is to go out there and talk to people and network. I've never felt discredited in here for being a woman. I haven't yet made it to Saudi, but I've heard stories from my colleagues and counterparts there from the MBA, where they are having real difficulties as a woman to make their voices heard. So again, there's a certain give and take with the opportunity in Saudi, and I think at least for now, they are still preserving the dominant culture there. So something to keep in mind, but I think it will change in the future.
Great. We have one more question come in, and it's to do with the potential clients that students can expect to see on campus this year, and how you as the creative team will be helping to sort of let them network with those clients.
Yeah, so this is an interesting question, and how it's phrased as well. It depends what you consider help as well, right? So we'll be providing you with opportunity and access, and then what you do with that opportunity and access very much is in your hands. What you choose to speak about, how you choose to approach those networking opportunities. What do you do when that person's left and it's the next day? How are you following up? How are you nurturing those relationships that we've given you access to? That's in your hands. You're holding that. So for sure, there's going to be opportunity. We'll be doing, there's various types of things that we'll be doing. So sometimes we'll be bringing companies to campus in a lunchtime, where we're like, right, this is your opportunity to learn a little bit about them, and you can connect, and they'll tell you about some job opportunities. They'll probably be quite hiring focused. And that will be a 1 hour thing that happens sporadically throughout the year, as and when there's a good moment to do it. And, those will be scattered throughout the year. Then there'll be some big events that we run, like on November 5th, where we're inviting many alumni for you to come and network in a round table to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it in various different functions. It's a larger scale event. There'll be high volumes of alums that you can connect with from different industries who are kind of living and working here and have been in your shoes before. You're going to build connections with them. And then what you choose to do with that connection, again, is in your hands. And then there'll be other opportunities where we run events where we get you off campus as much as possible. So, for example, GITEX is happening right now in the city. We sourced you some tickets. Those of you who had an opportunity to go, fantastic. You're out there, you're in the thick of it. Anyone who works in the kind of tech space is at that conference, not only to get business, but to do business. So are you putting yourselves in the middle of those spaces too? You should be. One thing I want to kind of end on is that we will always, if there's an opportunity and we think you guys are a good match, we'll try and make it happen. And no matter what the cost, we're like, no, we need to make this happen for the students.
This is our toxic trait.
Yeah, this is actually, we say it all the time, it's our toxic trait, because we're like, we want to provide you as much opportunity as possible.
Yeah.
Good opportunity as well, not just anything, but viable, good jobs. And I think it's really important to note that this is a very competitive market. And we talked about the size of the market as well. It's small in comparison if you want to compare it to a London and it's not a like for like. So also now, when, from where we started the conversation about the transformation in this city, the supply and demand of people coming here and the amount of jobs that are here, it's super competitive. Now, do you consider yourself to be competitive in this market? That's a question you have to ask yourself. And one thing I would say is timing is everything. So where you are in your career, you're having this experience, this 1 year fantastic experience of learning in this city. It's pretty cool. And it could be that timing it's not the right time for you to live and work here, because it is a city built on experts and it is highly competitive. It could be that you go back to your home country, you come back with extra skills, and then you're flying, you're thriving because you've brought that leverage with you. Or it could be that you already have that and you bring it into the market and your skills are in demand. Fantastic, you're also flying. And it could just be that that you have to work super hard to make this happen, and it is going to require a lot of grit. I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case. If you have that grit, fantastic, because then again, you would be considered competitive. And if you do all the things we tell you to do, you stand a really great chance. So, not to go on a long monologue, but I hope it's inspiring in some way for you to understand what it does require. And it's not for everybody. You might be like, that sounds like so much hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I want to be in an environment where I'm comfortable, and also I already know and it's familiar to me, and I want to be close to my family and all this. That's great too. So you need to kind of really reflect on, okay, do you have the grit for this market? And I think it's a really big question to leave on and for you to think about. And if you want to talk about it some more, then you can book a coaching session with either myself or Meha, and we'll break it down with you on what's possible. And I think it's a nice place to end. Awesome. Thank you guys for asking great questions and for coming, and we hope you found it valuable.